So, hey everybody, thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Not For Nothing. I am in Warren, Rhode Island to visit a very good friend of mine, and I would like for her to introduce herself.
I'm Jessie Brennan, otherwise known as Jessie Rae Tattoo, as everybody knows me by.
Jessie Rae Tattoo.
Jessie Rae Tattoo, that's my Instagram.
So Rae is your middle name, you said?
Middle name, yes.
Where did the middle name come from?
I think my mom, I don't know if you remember the Sally Field movie, Norma Rae.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where she's like, powerful woman.
So do you spell it R-A-I?
R-A-E.
R-A-E.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's a character from Star Wars, which is Rey from Star Wars, but they spell it R-A-I, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, we knew that was going to happen.
Well, we knew it happened. So there is a little beastie present.
My senior,
which I'm actually cool with. I actually like the idea that there's a little feller present.
Maddie.
So.
Oh,
no, I see the fan. Nice. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So why don't we start with this?
Okay.
Where exactly you grew up here? You're from here, right?
Right, Rhode Island, Coventry, not here. I mean, Rhode Island's this big, so about
smallest state in the country.
30 minutes south, yeah, towards the woods.
So you didn't grow up on the coast. You grew up on the.
So my grandparents had a big house on the water on the bay with a boat. My grandfather was a co-hogger, fireman, like man's man. So I've been on the coast my whole life in a boat. I can't be away from the ocean.
So what exactly is a quahog?
Oh, people don't know this.
No, and it's funny. I grew up on Long Island, but quahog wasn't a thing.
The only way people know what a quahog is from Family Guy. It actually isn't a town in Rhode Island. It is a native clam to Rhode Island, and it's nice and sweet and chewy and delicious, and everybody knows I love clams.
Nice.
But
I grew up on Long Island, and Long Island had their own. I think it was cherry necks.
Oh, cherry stones.
Yeah, cherry stones.
They kind of call them that here too, but they're usually little necks if you see them on
little necks. Yeah.
A menu.
Yeah, that was another thing. That was definitely another thing.
They're so good though. They're so much better than a regular clam.
So again, I grew up on baked clams and stuff along those lines, but I was never big into the raw thing.
We do quahogs raw too on the half shell. Yeah, we used to when we took the boat out. My grandfather, my grandmother, my mom, and they would dive into the water and dig up quahogs, small ones, big ones.
So you used to go with them as a kid as well?
Oh, yeah.
Because that was a big,
Always. Even
on Long Island, that was a thing. Everybody would get off the boat and you kind of feel around with your feet, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can dig them up. My grandfather was a quahogger, though. He would go pretty far out and use bull rakes. So those are 30 feet long or something like that. Not 30. I think they're
but they're still pretty, they're pretty big. They're substantial.
They're big.
Yeah.
So he was very strong because he would be but we would jump into the water, dig them up, bathing suits. When I was very little, I was in charge of the potato sack, and they would fill it up with the potato sack with the quahogs. My grandmother would pull me in with a rope, and I learned later in life that it's illegal. But it was the 80s.
Well, that's the best part. That's the nice thing about growing up in communities like this, where it wasn't about the rules and the regulations. It was more about just getting the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rhode Island, that's what it is. Rules and regulations, we don't know anything about them.
So where did you get started tattoo? Did you have a love for tattooing before you got into it? Was it something you kind of fell into?
Both. I didn't really ever set out to be a tattooer. I went to art school at RISD, the Rhode Island School of Design.
Which is a big school.
Yeah, it's amazing. I miss it. I wish no responsibility, just paint all day.
You still wish you were in school?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, being a student is kind of a nice...
I still worked on the weekends, but it was a lot of work. But I didn't set out to tattoo. I didn't really know what I was going to do when I graduated. I was working in restaurants, bars, and I was always interested in tattoos. I had some, little, whatever. And then I got sick of the restaurant industry and I quit, and I was kind of like a free agent. And I was like, what do I do with my life and my career? And I had like a diploma, and I'm like, what? Well, RISD should get me somewhere, right? But I wanted to do something that was like going to be enjoyable. I never really loved the whole illustration thing, because you're basically illustrating other people's stories or articles.
So you went to school to become an illustrator?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I never was into that. I don't like to be told what to do.
Well, and the funny thing is, I've got a lot of friends that are illustrators, and that's all they do. So
Yeah.
they're literally given a script, they're giving,
Right.
and then you have to come up with your sketches, your ideas, and then that has to go off to the editor, and then the editor is the one that makes the decisions.
And they'll I'm gonna put her away.
No, it's fine. Nobody's gonna care. They're all dog people for the
Hope
most
you like
part.
dogs. So yeah, I just got sick of like thinking I was gonna have to do other people's things, and I just wanted to paint things that I liked, food, things. They're just fun to paint.
You're like any other artist. You want to create your own. You want your own vision. You want your own thing.
I don't like deadlines. I don't like anything like that. So
illustration is not the place.
Yeah, I know.
for you.
I was like, yeah, I can't do this. So yeah, when I left the restaurant, I had a million things in my head that I could do, and like graduating from RISD, everybody's like, oh, you went to RISD, but it doesn't really get you too far if you don't know what you want to do. So I thought about makeup. I thought about like a ton of other things, but I always really was interested in tattooing or tattoos in general, and I had an ex-boyfriend who was very good friends with Joe. Do you know who Joe Romero is?
I know the name. I don't know him
So
personally.
he actually is on Shark Week and stuff.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
What did he go to Shark Week for?
So he films and swims with sharks.
Oh,
and
for real?
Yeah.
Oh,
so he's
Shark
like,
Week, not Shark Tank. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Shark Week.
I think that's
Totally
legit.
different.
All right, that's legit. I thought like Shark Tank. It's
Yeah,
like,
no business models
Yeah,
there.
okay.
But yeah, so he was a friend of my ex, and he owned a shop called Black Lotus in Rhode Island, and I just was like, hey, I kind of want a tattoo, and he answered me right away, and he was just like, cool, because he knew we were friendly, so he knew that I was already an artist and
Right.
kind of knew what I was doing already. So he's like, okay, just go to the shop and talk to Mike, a good friend of mine who I still talk to this day, and talk to him and see what he says. So I went and I showed up with nothing.
Oh, you didn't bring a
Oh, I
portfolio?
had nothing. I had nothing.
You
I
literally just rolled in. I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist.
Yeah, that's what I did. I was like, hey, Mike, right?
How old are you at this point?
I was 25.
Oh, so you were a bit older then
Yeah,
too. So
yeah.
I didn't start. Yeah, same with me. I was about 25 when I started.
And I mean, like I said, I never had any intentions of like, it was kind of one thing that I was interested in. And I was like, all right, I know I'm late to the game, but so I showed up and I said, hey, I really want to try it. And he's like, do you have anything on you so that I can see? And I was like, no, I don't. I was like, maybe I have something in my car from college. I don't know. And I did, actually.
So again, being an artist, like when I went in, like when I met the artist the tattooer who eventually would train me, I happened to have a portfolio in my car. I was
Just happened to have it in there.
Yeah,
Me too.
I was 21 when I got my first tattoo, and at that time I was a full-time artist. I was working in a flea market and a mall, doing T-shirts and
no
jackets
way.
and shit like that. Yeah, dude, I made a good living at that. A lot
That's
of people
great.
make fun of me.
No, yeah,
I made a good living at that.
Everybody
But-
wants T-shirts.
Exactly, and I literally, I basically, I had a portfolio on me, and I brought it in. I showed everybody, and the guy who eventually would leave that shop to open up another shop reached out to me, and I got my second tattoo from him and my third tattoo from him, and I eventually I started apprenticing in that shop, and I think I was 20. I wasn't 23. I think I got my first tattoo at 21, and I think I started tattooing around 22, 23.
Yeah, I got my first one from Joe.
Yeah.
So that's how I knew him. But yeah, I don't know. I was like, I just want a tattoo. What does this entail? I have no idea. And I know, like, it's funny because I hear everybody tell stories about, their apprenticeships and how hard it was to get one, and like, and just the whole, process of it, and I was like, yeah, I just walked in.
Well, what year was this?
This was 2007, I want to say,
So that was a particular time that it wasn't really.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was like there were still artists, there were still tattooers out there that were, or shops that were looking for fresh talent that was going to help their shop stand out amongst everybody.
I think that's basically what I was kind of like, he already knew I was an artist, so he was like, all right, we can make money with this girl. so my apprenticeship went pretty fast. How
long was the apprenticeship? Like did you I'm assuming you learned on coils at that time.
Yeah.
So did your apprenticeship, did you deal with like, I made machines, I mixed pigments,
needles,
I did this, you did
I
all
had to
that.
scrub tubes, I did all the things that nobody has to do anymore.
Yeah.
Making needles. Oh my god. Yeah, I remember that.
How long?
My apprenticeship?
Well, now how long did how long did the apprenticeship last?
I want to say it was probably only 7 or 8 months. It wasn't very long, but it seemed like forever because I wasn't making any money, and I was used to making a lot of money,
working
in a bar,
yeah.
and it was fast, and and I lived on $100 a week, and I drove and it was a time gas was so expensive, and I had a Jeep Cherokee, and I was driving 40 minutes to the shop from Providence.
Were you living at home at the time, or?
No, I had an apartment, and I just straight up just started fresh, and it was rough. It was rough. My mom was even helping me sometimes, and
that's
because
solid,
I didn't get,
that's nice.
Yeah, I didn't get paid, and I was there from, I think our hours were 10 to 10. So I was there all the time. At least the guys bought me lunch. So I got lunch every day, but it was tough. It was really tough for that time. I had to move in with a boyfriend just to have somewhere to live. So yeah, it was a thing, but it was quick in the whole scheme of things.
when you think of the fact that 7 months really isn't that long in the grand scheme of things, especially considering you're learning a trade that you're going to do for the rest of your life.
And I hear people 3 years people have. I don't know what they require now, hours, and I don't think anybody cared.
I don't think there's a requirement. I think that's one of the problems with apprenticeships in general, is the fact that some individuals are going to look at it from the perspective of, oh no, it's got to be one solid fucking year of you just cleaning up and doing bullshit and whatever, and then it's going to be another year of doing this and another year of the. No, I think a lot of people, everybody had a different way of thinking at it.
Yeah,
so.
and my experience, because I already had the drawing, behind me, and I could already do those things. I already knew color theory. I already knew all that stuff. So it was really just the putting the time in,
which is a big deal.
Yeah, because, and even Joe would tell me, he's like, I'm gonna treat you like one of the guys, and just how they have to go through stuff, you have to go through stuff, even though I had the background already. But it's at that time you had to do that.
But I think it's so with something like that, you can't look at it from the perspective of he's putting you through the motions like one of the guys. He's putting through the motions like a tattoo. Well, no, he did.
Called me
but I think it's because you're in a shop full of dudes, and it's you're going to be dealing with especially back then, you're dealing with predominantly men. So it's you do have to kind of, not only do you have to get your chops up as far as how to tattoo and whatnot, but you also have to figure out how you're going to deal with those clients walking through the door.
Oh, and the shop. So he originally had one down in towards the naval base.
Okay.
So
naval base up here or down in
Quonset.
In Quonset. Okay, so I'm not that familiar with the naval base.
Yeah, that's where the other electric boat is.
Oh, okay.
So there's where you guys are, and then there's one down there. So we had sailors and stuff coming in, so it really
there was a certain amount of a fair amount of actual legit
dudes too, and they would, and I was the only girl there, and it was.
How was that as far as so you were at this point you're working at that shop.
Yeah.
So how was that being a female in that shop? Because at that time there weren't a shit ton of tattooers, female tattooers.
Female, yeah. They respected me because they knew, my background going to RISD, which is it's in Rhode Island, like, especially, it's a big deal. You know, like, I mean, it is a big deal, but here, people are like, oh, you went to RISD? So at least I had that going for me, but I was a girl, so they're all like, you know, even like the old fisherman guys would come in and they would just, you know, they would.
I want the artist tattoo.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what do you draw them sometimes? And I'm like, really? You know, like, yeah, I do, but I can also, you know, well, at the time I wasn't tattooing quite yet, but it was just, you know, those older guys, the old fisherman guys, old Navy people, like they were tough to deal with, but
I think that's a good way to kind of be introduced to the field, though, because like when you're dealing with like, if you're starting out dealing with like the roughest of the rough,
yeah,
that's not a bad place to start.
From there.
Yeah, literally, there's only one place to go because either that or you end up dead.
Right? Yeah. Well, that didn't happen. I'm here.
No, thank God.
But yeah, it was just interesting. Like they eventually, you know, especially the regular guys, like that would go to my buddy Mike or whatever, and they were, what are you drawing over there? You know, and they would start to get interested in what I was doing, and then they would see what I could do, and then they were like, oh, okay, you're okay.
It's like
you know?
she knows what she's doing. She's not a total hack.
Yeah,
she's an art school kid.
I'm not a front desk girl, you know. So it was interesting, but I think, you know, as the apprenticeship, and then I got licensed, and then a little more respect,
yeah,
you know, I got from them. But and then I started getting my own clients, so it wasn't so. It was still, of course, the beginning of a tattoo career is never like awesome because you have to do.
It's the best of the worst.
Yeah.
Because it is one of those situations where if you're really involved, if you're really into it at that moment, then every single day is like a new experience. It's like very exciting.
For sure. I learned something every day. And that was just like from, not saying I messed up, but, you know, like things you don't know yet. And then you're
I think there's always going to be that.
Oh, every day, even now. Like, 16 years in, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should do it this way. But yeah, every day was like a learning experience, and it went from like little kanji things, because that's what everybody was getting then, and then it turned into like the mandalas and stuff. So I was doing a lot of that stuff. And in 2005, I would have been in Connecticut at that point, and I was pretty much custom. Like, I really wasn't doing a lot of anything but what I wanted to do, and I was very fortunate in that sense. Yeah.
What was like the thing in the shop up here? Because I'm not that familiar with Rhode Island and stuff like that. So what was the tattoos to get when you first, like, say your first
anchors? Anchors in Rhode Island I still do them. No, I mean our state flag has the anchor on it, and it says hope. And obviously we're on the water, and we have a lot of fishermen, we have naval people, we have just everything water. So anchors are where it's at.
Did you ever get to do any like Rock of Ages, like the woman on the rock and the cross and all that stuff? Like those are classic. Like, see, that's the bummer of like New England. It's like you got to be real old school to be into that kind of stuff.
Also, like, you know, praying hands, anything like that. I think maybe I did 2 praying hands.
Fuck, for real?
Yeah.
You lucky.
Like, even to this day.
That's shocking, because like in certain shops, that is like the fucking
staple
thing. Yeah, it's like anything religious, Christ heads, Virgin Mothers, praying the clappers, like any of that stuff is a big fucking deal.
Yeah, it is funny because sometimes people will be like, oh, you know, you must have done tons of these, and I'm like, I have never done that. And there's a few things, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there are a few things that I've just never done that are, you know, things that everybody
like staples. Well, you know, it's even with me. Like, I don't think I ever really got to do much in the way of Rock of Ages. Like, I had to talk people into doing it. I think that's what more of a West Coast uber traditional kind of tattoo to get. Where, unfortunately, here, like in New England, you don't get that much. And and if you do, it's usually
a lot of flags, Italian flags, Portuguese flags.
Yeah.
Coats of arms. Of arms.
Yeah, coats of arms.
Coats of arms.
Coat of arms. No, it's coats. It's coats.
Yeah, whatever.
It's a coat of arms.
You know, those things. Those were the things that I started off with, and then like I said, like the henna style stuff started getting popular. I want to say like 2010, 11, maybe. I don't know. I did a lot of that because people would see it and they'd be like, oh, the line work. And then I would do a lot of that. And then finally, the floral stuff evolved over the years, and I do a lot of floral now. So I roll my eyes, but I do love doing it.
I was gonna say, but
I do.
So you worked in Rhode Island for from like 2005, you said, till
2008. I got licensed 2008.
Okay, so your apprentice started in 2005.
7.
It's 7. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So it was just like a year, less than a year. Okay. But I did my license says 2008. That's when I started in October. So that's when I remember.
That's funny you remember. I remember mine was in February of 93.
I don't know the date. I just know that it was sometime in October.
Mine was easy. I started on the 1st of February.
Oh,
so
perfect.
I remember that. Yeah. Of that, so
yeah.
So how long did you work
years.
in? So did you develop a style before you left Rhode Island then, or?
I feel like I started to get in like the groove of it. I kind of went back and forth. I think when I first started, I was really interested in like color realism, as I feel like most people that when you start, you're like, oh, color realism.
You know what you know. Like when when you were in school, did your art gravitate, illustration art, whatever, to gravitate to realism?
Yeah, because I was an oil painter mostly. So that style, obviously, I mean, I would do, like I said, I painted a lot of food. I love still lifes and portraits and things like that. So it was kind of going in and not knowing enough about tattooing. I was like, oh, I could do that, I learned quickly that it was very hard and I didn't know at the time, obviously. I mean, that's when it was like evolving. That's when like all the, like Cecil Porter and like they were like.
Realism got pushed to a degree.
Nobody had seen.
Exactly. Like when I started in 93, I did my first color portrait in 95, I think. Mm-hmm. After seeing something that Carrie Barba had tattooed. She had done she did a bride portrait. And when I saw that, like a day later, a client came in, wanted a portrait of his kid, and he brought in a color portrait, and everybody assumed it was going to be in black and gray, and I'm like, I'm going to do this in color.
It's hard.
I just saw Carrie Barba.
Yeah. How long did it take you?
To be honest, I don't remember. It probably. So I came up in a shop where it was like it's kind of quick, go. So I don't imagine it took me forever, but I'm sure it took me a long time. But I did get to see that recently, and it wasn't horrible.
Oh, it didn't fall apart?
No, I'll be completely honest. I was genuinely I was shocked. Guy stopped through the shop. He goes, "You remember?"
Sometimes I'm still shocked when I see stuff. I'm like, "Oh, that held up."
How amazing is that, though, when that happens?
I surprise myself sometimes. But Mike, who actually ended Mike Bossino, he's amazing. He's the one who pretty much took over. Like Joe wasn't really around. He was diving and filming and stuff. So, like, he owned the shop. But Mike was really the person I learned the most from, and he had like a background in like comic book like lining and stuff, so his style is very heavy on lines, and me I was like, oh, I want to do like color realism,
artsy.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a really cool thing though that happened with us, because Black Lotus ended up opening a second location in Providence on Wickenden Street, and me and him worked there together. Just like me and him were always there. That was our shop.
Down here to Providence.
Yep. And
how much different was the clientele?
Well, Providence, we have students, a lot of students, art school students, Brown, everybody's over here, but they're a little more open-minded than down in South County, where everybody just wants anchors and things like that. So it was really cool though. Like I would watch him tattoo all the time, and like his outlining and his line weight, even when he draws, is like, it's so cool to watch. And I was like, I don't want to do lines, but he's like, you got to have lines. And at that time I was like, but look at this magazine. This guy doesn't have lines. And at the time, obviously, I was like, you can do that. But now I have a totally different idea. But
nothing is better than the moment you get that realization that you know nothing.
Yeah.
And you should listen to that guy.
Yeah. And Mike, it was funny because he's like basically self-taught. Like he's really talented and his imagination is crazy. And me, I like looking at things. I like reference for things, even painting, like still lifes and stuff. I don't really love photographs. I like actual still lifes because you can get form and all that stuff. And I think we both learned from each other so many things. Like I was teaching him more about painting and color theory and just, you know, I don't know.
This might answer your question. Painting is a visual artwork, surface artistically covered with paint.
Thank you,
Thank
Alexa.
you, Siri.
Oh, was Siri?
Oh, that was Alexa.
That was Alexa, yeah. That's my house does the same thing every now and again.
I didn't even know what I said.
You were talking about teaching him color theory.
How did that even come up?
I know, you didn't even say anything.
But Mike taught me a lot about line weight and bringing it into what I was doing. And then I think, you know, color stuff and certain things that I was doing, even just sitting and drawing or painting every day, he started incorporating into his work. And he would be like, hey, what would you do with this color over here next to the, you know? And I think we just learned so much from each other that it was like so cool. Like otherwise, I don't think my style now would be even close to what it would be like if I didn't have his influence on it, and Jeff too, after getting tattooed by Jeff. And like lines are amazing.
So that's one of the things I was going to ask you. Like, so me personally, like when I got into this, I was a airbrush artist, which doesn't rely on line work at all.
Yeah, that's
but one of the first things I was told was you kind of have to have this boundary, this you know, this line work to keep everything in. And I was always a big fan of like cartoons, like Bugs Bunny, like Warner Brothers cartoons are my all-time favorite. And that it's all lines.
And Peanuts.
You know what I mean? And the Peanuts, of course. I mean, I wanted to be a comic book, not a comic, a Sunday's comic artist. I love Charles Schultz. I'm a huge fan of Schultz, and I don't do anything like that, obviously, you know. But the idea that that line work, it never left my head. You just never did it with airbrushing, because the whole point of an airbrush is it's all about smooth, these great color fades, and you know, there's no boundaries.
You don't need them necessarily.
No, you don't. But you do know that when you translate from, when I go from a painting to the skin, I know that the rules change.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
and that's what I was learning.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
So how much of that, like, so you said that, like, did you go through a phase where you didn't actually follow any of those rules, and then you eventually found those rules again?
Absolutely. I followed what Mike was teaching me, but you know, with like some of the art background that I had, I wanted to push it different ways and just see what I could do. And I think just experimenting a little bit here and there with people that I knew, because I wasn't going to do that on clients that I didn't really know, but I had a lot of friends that would just be like, oh yeah, we can do this, you know, and try out this.
People are willing to fuck around and just be like, yeah, dude, do what you want. I want to get something
I don't
from
know
you.
why they would have done that in the beginning.
But I think that's because at that point, nobody knows any better. And they're just looking at it from the perspective of like, oh my God, she's such a great artist.
And they were like, I can't wait to get tattooed by you. And I'm like, I've only been tattooing for like 18 months. I don't think you do.
All they cared about is over a year. Go for it.
Right. And they were so supportive, and like I'm so happy that they did that, because I did learn a lot just by fucking around and like, oh, I don't know what this mag might look like if I did this color with this, or you know. So I did. You know, Mike was like very encouraging to do that too, because he was like, listen, if you have this style that you're kind of thinking about, like, just try it. Like, what harm is it going to do? I mean, obviously, it could be a harm. But. Well,
I think, but I think being around the right people, if you start fucking around and you start figuring out where the direction you want to go in, and if you're with a tattooer who can actually go, don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do it this way,
right? Because
this will make more sense in the long term, and it'll last longer.
Yep.
That's one of the things I think a lot of artists nowadays kind of tend to miss out on, is the fact that they're just trying to create something in the moment, not realizing this person's got to grow old with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is something I catch hell for talking shit about all the time. So.
I mean, but it makes so much sense. It's like, you do have to think things through a little bit. You can't just, you know.
Well, and again, I think, like, so you're working with this feller, and I don't want to jump forward to today and your influences of today, but so how long did you work in Rhode Island before you eventually, what was it that made you, did you start traveling for conventions? Did you decide to do guest spots? Did you decide, fuck it, I want to get out of Rhode Island and I want to hit the fucking road? Like, what made you leave?
So I worked, I think I didn't leave Rhode Island until 2016 when
So
I went
for a
down to
while.
Virginia. Yeah, when I went down to Virginia to work with Teresa. So I left Black Lotus. I went to Powerline with Evan, Olin, and Mike. Mike actually came afterwards. He left too.
Oh, I didn't
came
know
with
that.
us. Yeah. So when I was working at Powerline, it's funny because Evan is a color realist. So.
Yes. And he is a color realist to the extreme.
Yeah, exactly. And I went to RISD with Evan.
Oh,
so,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were classmates, and we had a few classes together, and it was funny because he left and came back to Rhode Island, and he's like, hey, I'm going to open a shop, so I know you're working at Black Lotus, but do you want to come? And it was tough for me because it was still early, and I still wasn't, like, super confident, and I was like, you know, I don't know, like I have some clients that know that I'm here, but like, you know, it's Rhode Island. How far away can you actually be? So
it is the smallest state.
Yeah. So I took a chance and I was like, fuck it, I'll go. So yeah, I went to his shop. I was there for a little while and I met Teresa when she came up.
Oh, did she?
To our shop.
Did she guest at Powerline?
Her boyfriend Greg at the time was getting tattooed by Evan. So
oh, that's right.
how I
That
met
was the
Greg.
first. So I met him.
I love Greg. He's the best.
He was the one that she was dating while she was still in Indiana. Yeah.
I
Oh no,
don't
Greg
know.
from the UK.
No,
that was
that's
Ryan. That was Ryan. Oh,
Sorry, Teresa. We're
Yeah, I was
talking
just saying.
about
Oh my God, we're just. Oh, Jesus Christ! I didn't mean to do that. No, Greg was the one that she was with.
He's in Connecticut. He's a
Yes.
music producer.
So, okay, Greg.
Yeah.
So Greg.
Greg is awesome.
Yes and no. And the reason why I say this is, and this is to you directly, is there was a sushi restaurant called Mia's in downtown New Haven, which was like this kind of like, it wasn't hipster because hipster wasn't a thing in Connecticut at that time or New Haven at that time, but he wanted to go to this place because it was like this wannabe hipster vegan bullshit
He is vegan.
sushi fucking nightmare that he insisted on going to.
A
And it was
vegan
one of the-
sushi.
It was one of the worst fucking meals
Oh, no.
I have ever fucking had. And I had sworn I would never go back. Like 6 months prior to them coming to visit.
Yeah.
And we ended up there because he insisted upon it. And I fucking hated it.
Don't judge Greg on the
Hate
vegan
it.
restaurant.
Hate it.
I'm glad he was there though, because he was getting tattooed from Evan. Teresa came. We met. We talked about because we were both getting tattooed by Jeff, and we, you know.
Oh, so that's your
clicked and-
first time in meeting her?
Yeah.
Oh,
When I was actually tattooing. She was in the other room. I brought her to get coffee, and I was like, "I'll buy your coffee." She's like, "You don't have to do that." I go, "No, it's cool. You just have to follow me on Instagram." I'm like, "Where did I get the balls to even say that? I don't even know." But
Well, she was just starting to blow up at that point.
yeah,
Because she had done
and
a guest.
I loved her
I
work.
wonder if that's when she had done the guest spot at our place, because that's where I
Maybe.
met Greg, because it was
Yeah.
around that same time.
Yeah, it's very possible.
She had done a guest spot by us, and because she had done one with, because I'm trying to think, it wasn't with Kelly. So the first time they came through, it was Kelly, Gesso, and it was Kelly, Gesso.
I think it was
and
after they did like a tour.
that. So then she
Yeah.
had come back again
Yeah.
and done it again. So
And then that was the only time she came up to the shop, but we connected and then I ended up leaving Powerline like not long after.
how long were you at Powerline?
Well, right up till 2006. So I want to 2016. I don't know. I don't math.
I don't math. Well, what time? When
5
did you go
years?
there? Yeah, so you went there
Something
around
like that.
2011.
Yeah, something like
Give or
that.
take.
Yeah, probably.
We don't need. I mean, nobody needs to
Yeah.
have fucking. It doesn't have to be. Nobody's
Doesn't
going to
even
call you
matter
like you
anymore.
weren't there that
Yeah,
long.
I have no idea. But I do remember the little post that I put. I was going to Virginia in 2016 in July. It was so hot.
Oh yeah, that's a shit time.
Yeah, but I didn't. So the travel thing, like I wanted to travel, but I feel like at that time it was hard. Like I was still, I think, finding my place in tattooing, and I was like, I wasn't confident enough to be like, oh, I belong going to these shows. And I don't think I was ready yet.
You know, it's funny, like back in that time, so it's funny, like back in the day, we never looked at it from the perspective of like, I'm going to go out on the road, I'm going to make a fucking name. Oh, you know what? I shouldn't say that because I know there were a lot of people that did that. So I shouldn't say it like that. I am not that person.
That. Yeah,
I was never that person.
But like, you know, you got stuff from magazines and stuff. It was like the beginning of Instagram. So nobody knew me. Like I was nobody, you know, so like not feeling confident enough to go and do those shows. I did a few, like we went to Vegas, I did a few, like, but not many. And
how did you feel like, so magazines weren't as big of a thing.
Yeah, they were just starting to kind
of peter off.
Yeah.
And Instagram and social media were starting to take off.
Yeah.
So what made you decide like to, because you went to Richmond shortly after, you said.
Yeah, yep.
So what was the decision behind that? Was it just your relationship with her, or
Yeah,
just the idea that you wanted to grow?
I originally, I asked her, I wanted to get tattooed by her, and I was like, hey, like, I could come guest. Well, she actually offered. She was like, come guest. And, you know, so when I left Powerline, I was like, hey, I got some time. I think I might travel. And she was like, oh, great. You should come do a guest spot. And I did. And I was there for a couple days. I worked. And then she asked me if I wanted to join Unkindness. And I was like,
and how long?
Hell yeah.
I don't remember when Unkindness opened. It was like.
It was a little bit before they asked me, so it was like kind of the beginning.
So it was her and Aaron still.
Yep. And Geary was there.
Oh, Geary, yeah, fortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I actually almost wore my Future Laser Tiger T-shirt.
Oh, nice. If anybody doesn't know, Geary had passed away.
He was
how many years
fucking
ago?
awesome, that guy.
Yeah, I only met him on 2 occasions doing guest spots at Unkindness.
It's been, I want to say, 3 years.
Fuck,
maybe.
That's a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was awesome to work with, though. I honestly
he
don't
was very
think,
energetic. He was definitely very energetic.
I don't think I could have gotten through that first year. Like, I never really, like, as an adult, moved away too long from here. Obviously, I went to Florida for a year. I lived in Boston, but like leaving my whole life behind, like my friends, my family, and going somewhere where I didn't really know anybody, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. And I had a hard time with it. I was homesick. The ocean. I miss the ocean.
The ocean is a big fucking
deal.
It's a big fucking deal.
I was just. I don't think I could have gotten through that first 6-8 months without Geary. He really, like, I was just depressed. You know, I had a great time, but I was sad. I missed people from home, and it was hard making friends. As an adult, it's so hard making friends.
Well, and again, you weren't even that old. I mean, I think you know, it's funny. I grew up on Long Island, and when I left Long Island the first time, you do get homesick about stuff, and I think New England in general has that because there's, I mean, realistically, with the exception of maybe parts of the Northwest, you know, there isn't a lot like this. If you go down south, it's not like this. Yeah, there really isn't.
No, and just the quaintness of Rhode Island in general. We have a lot of like small businesses, and I mean, I know everybody in Providence. You know, like I know all the bartenders. I know, you know, like just. I've had so many different experiences, restaurant people and
being tattooers. Like it's funny. Like so, I've had friends on several occasions, industry people, and when I say industry, I mean like restaurants, bars, whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, "You're just like us, man. You do the same thing." And it's true. It's not too different. It's not too much different.
The lifestyle is very similar, which is detrimental sometimes.
Fuck, yeah, detrimental and amazing at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you could. Yeah, you could say that about both things. Yeah. And I think it lasted for a while. My restaurant mentality and like just I don't know, just like hours that I sleep are still on restaurant time sometimes.
Yeah, but you know full well like personal service industries are it's all about the client. It's all about the customer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I bet you complain endlessly about.
And that's why we drink afterwards. Because it's
okay, so not everybody drinks. Okay, that may not be the best analogy to make because not
whether
everybody.
Whether it's good or bad. I mean.
No, for real. But again, I think there is something to be said for once you're done tattooing, once you're done with the client, I mean, that's why I have a bar in my room. It's like not everybody drinks. I mean, I can hang out and just shoot the shit with somebody. And
but
just
it could be like a celebratory, like, hey, we made it through the day.
Yeah, exactly. Today sucked. Congratulations.
Good job.
Here's a
we
whiskey.
did it together.
Exactly. But I think it is that camaraderie that makes people think like, not think, I shouldn't say it like that, but it makes people like, whew.
Yeah.
That was, wow. Can we go get a bite to eat now?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, in my older age, I don't do it as much, but I still, I'll still go down the street, visit my friends that work at the bar down the street, and I'll still close the bar with them. It's like, but once you're a restaurant industry person, you're for life, you're an industry person.
And that might be why a lot of my friends are just, so back in the day, my uncle owned a restaurant. My whole family's been in that
restaurant
industry.
People.
Yeah, restaurant people. And when I was 12 years old, I started working in my uncle's restaurant with my dad. And most of the time, I was being brought home by one of my cousins or my dad on occasion, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it is one of those things. Like, it is an amazing industry. And some of my happiest moments were from when I was 12 to fucking 16. And I didn't drink. I mean, again, it wasn't bad. I wasn't drinking.
It is
but it is
family.
Family. Because every night, like not every night, but like 4 nights of the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they did family nights. Yeah. Or not family meals, I should say. And I mean, the restaurant I worked in was a big Italian restaurant, kind of high end. And I remember my dad making giant meatloafs and fucking giant pots of fucking rigatoni and like those
with
meals.
The gravy.
Yeah, gravy. Exactly. Well, it depends on where you're from. Yeah. I grew up calling it gravy. Everybody calls it salt.
I mean, Rhode Island's got the big Italian.
So to me, it's like, I was raised, if it had meat in it, it was gravy. If it didn't, it was sauce. Or if it was on Sunday, it was, what sauce?
Sunday gravy.
Yeah, Sunday gravy. Thank you. So nobody up in Connecticut knows these things.
Oh, my God.
It fucking kills me, man. Yeah, fucking guineas, man. They're all over the place, and I have no idea.
Oh, here especially. And then we have the ones mixed with the Portuguese blood, too. So Justin, my boyfriend, is half Italian, half Portuguese. We have a huge Portuguese population over here.
So same in Connecticut, believe it or not. Yeah.
I guess they're all from the Azores, too. It's like very specific.
Really?
Yeah. And a lot of my friends, like all their last names, Medeiros, Cabral.
I have a friend, one of my best friends in Connecticut is named Cabral. Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
But they know how to eat, and they do it right.
Yeah, well, that's... God, it's something that sounds like a fat.
We're just going to talk about food.
Yeah, not for nothing. I could totally do that. But it's true, and I think that's one of the things I like about tattooing. I think with tattooing, it's like
it's very similar.
Everywhere you go, it's all about camaraderie. Well, for the most part, it's camaraderie. It's how you spend the time before, during, and after, and it may not be spent
talking
with
about your
client.
Experiences.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about it, and traveling and meeting everybody at shows and.
I mean,
awesome.
I can honestly say this changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, tattooing absolutely changed my life.
Yeah.
Which is why I can understand why people want to get into it.
Right. Yeah, totally. But, I mean, and it is cool.
It is cool.
We're cool.
We look good.
A little bit.
Look at us. I got good hair. I'm starting to.
Oh my God, I'm sweating.
All right, we're getting off topic.
Okay, we're talking about food. And
I apologize. So you're in Richmond for how long were you down there?
I was there for almost 3 years.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, almost 3 years. And then I was so homesick, and I was just miserable, like being away from all that. And I mean, they knew it too, and it sucked because I really I picked up my life and I went and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but it was tough. It was really hard. And I can't say that I didn't I enjoyed my time there, but I really just. It wasn't for me, it was, I had to be back here.
So were you traveling a lot while you were at that shop? Or?
I did the most traveling with Unkindness, yeah. And I wish I did more with them. It was, again.
Well, that was at that time when they opened that shop. They were a pretty hot hot item. So they were going to a lot of conventions, and Erin and Teresa, and Teresa, to her credit, even today, they do it right. When they roll up at a convention,
it's a whole.
Yeah, they roll up as
it's
crew.
the shop, yeah, and that's cool. I do miss that. I mean, I've done conventions myself, and it's cool. Like, I get to see people, but it's not the same as when you have, like, your people and
like
you're all
a
in the
group of
same...
friends and people
Yeah,
that you've got.
it was
like,
really fun.
because you're never alone. Like, I think for me, traveling solo is tough.
It is.
Because like you literally every day you go out, you go for breakfast by yourself, you go for and I will admit I'm kind of used to it and I don't hate it anymore, but it is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can get like a little your own time, and then if you want to, you can link up with friends and stuff. But it is fun going.
Well, like that story I was telling you about Brooklyn. It's like as fun as it was that last night.
Yeah.
When I was able to be like, fuck everybody, I am just gonna go and have dinner
and that's
by myself.
nice when you want to be by yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And the older I get, the more I want to be by myself.
I can't say that's the case anymore. Like I really do. I mean, the whole point of traveling is to be around other people, like-minded people, and you hope that works out.
I think my traveling is the time I get to be around people, and then when I'm here, that's when I'm like by myself, and I'm fine with it. I mean, I do miss people sometimes, but like just come downstairs and like it's all yours, and like, you know, put on the music you want and put the AC at whatever temperature you want, and you don't have to worry about anybody else going, oh, can you turn that down? Oh, I don't like that song. You know, it's nice.
Well, speaking about that, speaking alone, so when did you leave Unkindness? When did you come back?
I came back. Actually, I got home January 1st, 2019.
So when I saw you, so when was the Literary Ink show? Because
that was 2019.
And
so,
that was what month was that?
I think that was in February or March.
Oh, so you were up here at that point?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I still did it with Unkindness because we
that's why
we did it all together. Yep. So yeah, I was still in the booth with everybody and hung out with everybody, but I was here.
You were technically already here.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that. That was my misunderstanding. I knew you were. I knew you were going to be leaving, but I didn't know you had already left at that point.
And I was only. I didn't have this place yet. I was working up the street. I only worked there for like 6 months or so.
What was the name of that shop?
1001 Troubles.
Okay.
It's like a street up from here. And then, you know, I just, after being in shops for so long and just kind of like, you know, I went to a few shops. I was in a few shops working. I just kind of like, I didn't want to do it anymore. I just don't want drama, or I just wanted peace of mind, you know, and I feel like I was always in places where I would have changed things if I could have, but I couldn't because it wasn't mine.
Well, being a tattooer, that's because I've always been like that. At any shop I go to, I'm like, oh, I'd fucking change this,
right?
I'd change that.
I hate the color yellow. Yeah, that needs to go.
I'm there for 3 fucking days, and I'm just kind of like, what the fuck is this shop, you know? So I think that's just the case. So I mean, realistically, and the funny thing is, your shop is not like this isn't a private studio. This is a fucking shop. I mean, and I mean that in the way of like a custom shop. It's fucking gorgeous in here. I mean, it really is a beautiful shop. You know what I mean? It's enough room to have 2 other tattooers easily.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're solo.
Like, I can have people and paint out here, and for now, I mean, so I opened here it was October 2019.
Right before the fucking shit show.
The world shut down. I was like, hey, let's own a business and then not work for 6 months. So I opened December. Like, I signed the lease here in October. I opened in December. I was on a roll. I was like, yeah, life is good.
I had 3 solid months.
Fucking awesome. And then they shut us down. And I didn't work for... It was only like 4 months, maybe.
It was that long.
Yeah. And Rhode Island actually opened a lot of stuff before, you know, like Mass and Connecticut. I remember Mass being a lot longer before they could open.
So I can't really speak too much on the COVID days because, it was not the same in Connecticut. Like I just got to a point where there was a lot of, me and a couple of fellows, like, we had to work and we did our thing. And I'm not going to say I'm not proud of it. We just did what we did, and that's it. Yeah.
Well, I had an apartment and an extra room. That's all I'm going to say.
So I
still had to pay rent here, but
yeah, exactly. Well, that was a big fucking deal, man. Like, I mean, the fact of the matter, I don't want to go down the COVID road. It's not worth it.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
No, fuck COVID, man. Like, there's a good chance come the next election we're going to be dealing with the same shit. Mm-hmm. So you're back here now.
Yeah.
You find this place. You actually had a really like sweet story about like driving to work. Mm-hmm. And driving by this for vacant space.
And I saw a little for rent sign. Well, it's actually a big for rent sign in that big window. But I said, "What the heck? I'll take a look at it." I never had any intention of like having my own space. It was always like in the back of my mind. And actually, it was funny. So Jeff did come to Rhode Island to tattoo me because. I think he felt bad because he canceled on me a few times to go do seminars.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
because you had gotten a couple of cancellations.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, Jeff's coming." Because I was going to try to come up and visit.
Yeah. So, and nobody could believe it. And I was like, well, I get it because he did cancel on me a couple of times because he had like seminars that he was going to like Japan for. Like, yeah, I get it. Okay, that's fine. But he felt bad, I think. So he came here, and I had just left the other shop like 2 days before he was going to be here. So he ended up, he was here on a Friday. I left the other shop on Wednesday. And that's when I made that tattoo room in my house. And it was awesome, though. Like, it was such a cool experience. Like, I was like, sorry, Jeff, we don't have a shop to tattoo in.
But I mean, like, in that situation, it kind of makes sense because it's already a personal. I mean, you're getting a fucking bodysuit from him.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And I was like, well, we'll make it work, And I did. I set up like a whole tattoo room, and he tattooed me here. And it was funny because we went down the street for some oysters and drinks, and we were walking back, and I passed like there was a little place down the street, and I go, that's all I really want is just like a little place like that on Water Street would be so cool, right? He goes, do it. He's like, you could do it. And then that was like a month before I drove by and saw the for rent sign.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, what? This is crazy. So, and I looked at it and ended up talking to the landlord and got the place. It was crazy too. He didn't even ask me for like a credit check or anything.
You are so
lucky.
What? Dude, I had to make up fucking, no exaggeration, the two
That's
places,
Rhode Island.
Connecticut, the two places we've been to as Hope, I had to make up a resume. I had to reference it. Dude, people were outright like, no, I'm not interested. I'm like, dude, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
If you're gonna say you're not interested, you're gonna do it to my fucking face. Is it
the whole tattoo thing? They were like, we don't want to tattoo.
I think it's a combination of being it's tattooing, and there's a stigma and bullshit and whatever. And I think that they think we're fly by night. Yeah.
And like that's gangs.
They think we're fly by night, and they don't realize it's like, dude, I'll leave here when I'm ready.
Right.
Well, given the current state of things, who fucking knows anymore?
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, we've been in our current location now for 16 years.
Yeah.
I mean, before that we were in downtown for 6 years. So it's like, whatever, you know what I mean?
But it is hard finding a space because a lot of people are like,
now imagine doing this fucking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a different world.
Right. But at least when I met the landlord, he was very cool about it. He was like, I've been waiting for something cool to be in here. And I go, well, I'm your person. So,
considering what the neighborhood is turning into, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
But it was funny because you have to go, I don't know if you have to do this in Connecticut, but it is a small town in a small state. I had to go get approved at the town council meeting in front of everybody. And, I went up there to explain what I wanted to do, and they vote on it, whatever. And there was a lady who lived right next door who opposed me, and I was like, this is gonna be like the nicest looking place on the street.
That's the best part, and it's a tattoo shop,
right? And everybody goes next door to Will's, and they always think like that's the shop, and I'm like, no. And people still come in here, I would say once or twice a week, because they think it's an antique store. and mostly
it
mostly the
definitely
old
has that.
ladies. Yeah, I mean, I get it. You know,
It's a really classy looking spot.
That's what I was going for. But that lady, I was like, listen, you don't even know what this is going to look like, so don't judge me.
Well, you know, in their defense, I mean, a lot of people don't realize exactly, you know, they don't look at it from the perspective of what we see. We're looking for a place that's going to be comfortable for us, going to make our clients, it's going to impress our clients, it's going to impress anybody walking by.
Yep.
You know, in most cases, not every shop is going to be like that, obviously.
Yeah.
But we're trying to we're pushing the envelope on what people think of when they think of a tattoo shop.
Yeah,
you know,
and people are starting to understand now. I mean, especially with TV, and all that stuff. That it's definitely changed so much, and like I did want this place to be like a little elevated. You know, like I love this stuff anyway. You know, like fancy things, and I like that opulence. You know, yeah. I mean, I grew up in, you know, the Newport mansions we'd go to all the time, so like I love that stuff. So I was like, I do want it to be nice. I want it to be comfortable. Everybody that comes in, like they love the space. It's small, but it's like it's perfect for what I want, and I think people. I do a lot of larger pieces now, so you know you don't have 5-6 other people around when you're like half naked. You know, you're very. I can even close those doors. You know, it's very.
It's very intimate.
Yeah, exactly. That, and I think everybody that comes in is like, this place has great energy, and that's all I ever wanted, really.
And it's funny. I don't think you can get that in somebody else's shop, because you're basically always going to be working off of what they want to
do with it, right?
You know,
and that was always part of my issue with working at shops, because I know, and this comes from getting tattooed by Jeff. You know, his studio, or well, I haven't been to the new one, but his shop was always it was classy. Yeah. It was very comfortable. There's always cool stuff to look at. Yeah. You know, there's
I think any good shop. It is a bummer when you go to some newer shops where it's just like white walls.
I know.
It's very sanitary. It's
I hate minimalism.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Give me
of
Max.
Yeah,
Max.
I just want to feel like I'm in somebody's home.
Right.
I want to feel like when I lay down on that bed, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah. I got plenty to look at. There's more to keep my mind on things, you know.
And it's like when I would get tattooed by Jeff and going to was Off the Map first, and then 26 Swords, and he's got that back room is like just you, and it's lovely. He's got incense going, you know. It's like, and it calms you to get tattooed. Like you're fine with it. You're not like under hospital lights and yellow walls, and you know, like it's so much better of an experience for the person and for the tattooer, because you're just relaxed. There's no stress, there's no, you know, you're just comfortable, and you sit better when you're comfortable, and your mind is like, oh, okay, I can just.
I remember going to Philip Lou's apartment, which he worked as a home studio as well, and then eventually going to a shop and everything else. And there was a bunch of different tattooers, like Mike Ledger was one of the artists, you know, that was doing it in the States, and they brought that experience back to the United States, where it was like same thing. It was like, you know, you have your fucking incense, you have, let's have a little bit of something to eat. Would you like a coffee? Would you want some tea? We're going to sit at the kitchen table.
It's so much nicer.
You didn't just stand there like shivering, drinking your tea because you were in the middle of a session. It's like, no, sit down, relax, chill out. Yeah. Like we're gonna have some relaxed time, and then we'll go back to tattooing. And it was one of those things where, like, while you may have been stressed while getting tattooed, you got taken down back down to earth, and we're gonna settle down, and then we're gonna start back at it, and I'll torture you some more. In 5 minutes.
And it's nice to like. And I do the same thing with my clients, you know, like we'll come out here and we'll just sit and we'll have lunch and just go right back to it, and everything's comfortable. I mean, I think that just came from experience at other shops where, you know, I can't imagine getting I mean, I have, but getting tattooed now, if I ever got tattooed in like a sterile, I don't know, or even just like a messy no offense to men, but they don't know how to decorate things. So, like,
You've been to my shop.
I love your shop. I love your shop.
My shop's not that bad.
But it's still comfortable,
Yeah.
and you
Well,
still have
yeah.
like the rooms, and like that's here it's like the smaller rooms, but it's also just cozy, and I just don't want to get tattooed or tattoo in a place that's not anymore.
Yeah.
It's like where my mind wants to be. And
which is totally understandable. I think that and that's the whole thing. That's the whole point of building an environment or a business that you're going to be in every fucking day of the week.
And I have to look at it, and I know Jimmy says,
it's
a tattoo salon.
Well, so yeah, it's a salon.
It is.
It's a tattoo salon.
It is, but it's.
But again, that's
Jimmy, you're gonna love it.
But so I think the point that Jimmy was trying to make was when you look at the situation of like a tattoo shop versus a private studio slash salon, is a shop has got all walks walking in. It's not just a matter of your clientele. It's people that are just coming in because it's a shop and they just know that they can get tattoos done there.
Right.
So that's going to be a thing. But when you're trying to invite individuals to come in to your shop, your salon, to get tattooed, it's going to be that person's either going to have to bring it themselves because your clients are here for you and you only, and that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is. I'm still like shocked that I still even have this place. Like I never thought that I would, and it's wild because people say that they're like they're going for you, and they travel for you, and they stay here, and
which is a big deal. I mean, and so the beauty of this place, if you guys have not been to Rhode Island, she's in a beautiful little area. Like it's a seaside. Like if you want proper New England, like this town
you get a
is
lobster
that.
roll.
And and you're within. Within, like, how far are you from whatchamacallit? From
where we just went,
yeah,
or Blount,
the bougie area. What the fuck's it called?
We have Bristol, and then we have Barrington.
Yeah.
And those are our neighboring towns. We're a little artsier and a little like
it's
weird.
a little bit,
it's weird here, but it's still really cool.
When she says weird, it's like a block and a half long of weird.
Yeah.
It's like exactly. It makes no. It's not weird.
Yeah.
We
have weird.
It's New England
people,
as fuck.
maybe.
Like, this to me is New England as fuck.
Oh yeah.
The fact that you still have a dive bar though is super cool.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, and the community is just great. And when I have clients come and they stay at Airbnbs or like they're going to get food after their thing and they all go, "Oh, you're here for Jess." Like everybody knows.
You know who you are.
Yeah, and just knows each other, and like everybody's so friendly. They'll give you a free drink, you know.
It was like that in New Haven when we first moved down there. Like people would just be like, because I had a lot of people traveling to get tattooed, so a lot of people were just kind of like, "Oh, you like where are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're from Colorado, or I'm from fucking whatever," and they're just like, "You came here to get tattooed?" And it was like, they fucking Joe's here.
Yeah. And it is. I never thought I would be like that person that people would come to, but I really do try to like make an experience for people. So like not just the shop, but like I'll tell them where to go, who to talk to in town.
And that's what you should do. Like, I mean, one of my friends who owns a bar downtown, he has a list. All the restaurants, all the bars that he recommends.
I should do that. I should actually should do that. Print one out.
Yeah,
and
I would make it a little classier than his. His is literally like a photocopy.
Yeah.
I got you on. Hand scrolled on the back of a napkin, and then it's just like photocopy. It's like, here, check these places out. But it is one of those places where it's like, full well anything he's recommending he's going to be selling.
Right. Yeah.
And and it is a good thing. Like there are certain places I do the same thing with, but it's. I hate pizza in Connecticut, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Have you ever pizza in Connecticut?
Yeah, I've had
Pepe's and
I'm trying to think of the movie Mystic Pizza.
Oh,
not good. Not good. It was terrible.
I was gonna say Mystic Pizza.
Everybody's gonna try it once.
It's a fucking Julia Roberts film, first of all, which makes it terrible. And then on top of that, shit like pizza. No, it's horrible.
No, it wasn't good at all.
No, it's terrible. No,
I actually haven't had good pizza when I go there. Every time I go to New Haven, we go to that place, Mecha.
Oh, Mecha.
The noodle place.
The noodle place, really?
It's so good.
That's fucking noodles.
I know, but I don't know.
Yes, I'm not a big fan. I mean, it's expensive noodles. I mean, to
me,
there were better places. Like there's one called York Street, which is just an old school, like, Chinese fucking noodle house.
Yeah,
and
but it's
they're
good.
and it's like there's no ambiance, and that's
Here
the
we
thing
go
with
with
that
food
shit.
again.
Yeah, again, dude. Like, I mean, I can honestly say, anytime I
think it
travel
always
the
ends up
world,
with food.
yeah, because anytime I end up going anywhere in the world, it's always about people, food, and drink, and because those are the things that you're never going to grow old loving, you know.
And the tattoo thing goes right along with it. That's the whole experience. Like that's why I try to do that for people. And I did have an Airbnb in the building, not anymore, but probably again sometime in the future. But it's just so nice to be able to just, even if you stay like 2 streets away.
Well, especially in the neighborhood.
Breakfast on Main Street, you come in, you get tattooed all day. I'll take you out. I'll take you out. Oh my god.
Just jumped off the ledge.
You okay? Aw, little baby. I have a senior dog. But that's the whole thing. Make this cozy, make it a great experience for everybody.
And the town has already got the coziness. It's already got all the fucking ambiance that you could possibly want.
It's the best.
So now, getting heavy, and we can avoid this if you want, but this is going to get a little heavy.
Don't worry, it'll end up in food talk anyway.
Oh, it'll eventually go there, definitely. There's the dog, by the way.
That's Maddie.
But so in the past year, you got really shit news, and you got diagnosed with cancer. Do you want to let people know how you found out about that? Like, what your thoughts are on it?
It's funny. People have been telling me lately that I'm so brave for talking about it, but it's really just, this is what's happening. I've accepted it. You know, I'm not like upset about it. I can talk about it freely. It's just something that happens. And it happens to a lot of people, and even more people than I even imagined. And when I did talk about it, I got so much feedback. But so in April, I felt a little like lump on my chest, and I thought it didn't hurt. It was just like kind of like this weird little hard spot. And I thought, maybe it was like I hit it with a barbell at the gym or something. I thought I like hurt myself, because I hurt myself all the time. And it was weird. I was like, this is not normal. And I know my body pretty well, and it just felt off. So I had my like annual checkup, and I told my doctor about it, and she sent me for a diagnostic mammogram, and what was the other thing? Something else. I don't remember. But I went, and like I could tell when I was there that they kind of knew, what was going on.
Something was up, yeah.
Yeah, and after I was there for 4 hours getting like pictures, like, because I guess it was like deeper, so they had to take a ton of pictures, and even then I was like, this is taking a while. So I had a feeling, and then at the end of the mammogram and the ultrasound, they came in and they were like, so there's some worrisome masses in there. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, we want to get a biopsy. And I went back the very next day and got a biopsy, and that was on a Wednesday, and by Friday I got results, and they said it was breast cancer, and it did reach my lymph nodes. So, and by the way, that was on a Friday afternoon to evening. I had to sit with that all weekend before I could even talk to a doctor. Because I found out there's like a portal that, they send you test results and stuff. Yeah. So that's how I found out.
So you didn't actually talk to somebody, you actually read it on your phone.
I got a text, and it said, oh, you have results. So obviously I read it because it was important.
And nobody to talk to after.
And I was like, oh, great, this is great. So I had to get through the weekend, and then I called my doctor on Monday, and I was like, is anybody going to talk to me about this? Because, it's been a rough weekend.
This is a pretty life-changing
It's a pretty serious thing. So, they said, basically, we don't call people and tell them. We like to have them come in. And they had already made the appointment on Tuesday. So I was like, okay. So I went on Tuesday. They talked to me about it. And it was, it's only stage 2. I say it's only stage 2. I mean, it's still cancer, but it's not 3 or 4. So that was good.
Which is a relief.
Yeah, because like 4 is metastatic. It can go everywhere. But it did reach my lymph nodes. So in that case, I don't know what people know about cancer, but if it does reach your lymph nodes, it can go anywhere in your body, and like anywhere, because lymph nodes process things, exactly, and it moves stuff around, fluid in your body. So those cancerous cells can go anywhere, and that's what really was scary. Because breast cancer, they do a lot of research. It's the most researched cancer. So I wasn't like, oh God, like I have pancreatic cancer and like that's the end, like, so I knew there was a solution.
And there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Right.
And even just knowing it's stage 2 and it's treatable was good. So it was such a, I can't believe this is happening to me kind of thing. Like I know friends and a bunch of people that have gone through this stuff, and I was always like, oh, that sucks. I'm so sorry, and I never thought that I would be the next person to get it. Yeah. And here we are.
But again, like I think from the standpoint of, I mean, not for nothing, you are in incredibly high spirits. You did get some decent news, and I don't want to jinx anything, but whatever. But yeah,
I'll tell you after.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in the next hopefully in the next couple of weeks, you should have a different,
like a better understanding of like where
this is going. Where this is going.
So I've done, they tell you, here's what we have to do. There's different options for treatment. Like you can get it every 3 weeks, and it's like a pretty heavy dose. And then you could also do weekly, which I chose weekly because I was like, I'd rather feel a little shitty all the time than like really shitty and then feeling great, and then I have to go feel really shitty again. So I was like, I would just rather feel a little shitty every day.
Now, having chosen that route, like, so you've made it clear to your clients, like, hey, I'm booking appointments. I'm keeping things on the like kind of on the like on a minimal scheduling. Yeah. Because in case you have to cancel, it's better to cancel 1 or 2 than 3 to 5.
Especially people that are traveling.
Exactly.
I don't want to. People are flying in. I don't want to be like, hey, I don't feel good today. I have a tummy ache. And they have flights and everything. So I've pretty much for like the time being, that like the immediate future is very it's day by day. I try to schedule like the week, and then I just kind of give them a little, hey,
a little
just in case, so you know. So I've been really just working on people that have stuff started already, and that are kind of local. I think the farthest people right now are like New Hampshire, maybe New York, but I can tell them that morning of, don't go, or don't get in the car.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty good so far. Like everybody tells me my spirits are great.
No, honestly, for real. I mean, I don't think I would be this cool about it. I'd be pretty fucking angry. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think in the beginning, I had a tough, I think the first 2 weeks were the hardest, because first of all, you get this news and you have no idea what's coming. Like, you just don't know. And hearing stories from other people, like especially about chemotherapy, because it is brutal on some people. I feel okay. I've felt okay. I've had days, where I'm like, I can't get off the couch because my tummy hurts. And I just, I think at this point, I'm just tired. Like my muscles are tired. The fatigue is like a real thing.
Yeah, and then you add tattooing on top of that.
Oh God, yeah.
Which can be torture, not torturous, but it could be. It can take its toll.
It is an exhausting job anyway, like physically,
mentally and physically.
Yeah, and you're concentrating all day, and my brain space isn't 100% there.
Yeah, you made a comment about brain fog and stuff like that.
Ugh, it's the worst. I feel dumb, I do. I'm like, I can't think of this word. So tattooing, it's a little bit of pressure, where I feel like anybody that has cancer is sick. Like, they don't deserve to have pressure put on them.
Right.
So I've been super, super, super lucky with everybody. Everybody's been so
Understanding
great.
of the situation.
So great and supportive. And
I'll be honest with you, if you're not, you're a
dick. I know. Everybody says that too, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't had anybody like that. My clients are awesome.
Nice.
Anyway, and I've gotten people send me edible arrangements. They send me baskets of like just things like I got a neck fan from somebody. I got just the coolest people. Like I'm really, I hate to say it, but like hashtag blessed, but I really have like the best clients, and they've been so great through all of this. And even like I have a couple that I tattoo, and they live 7 minutes away, and they're like, anytime you feel really great, just give us a call. We can work it out. We'll get tattooed. If you can't, just let us know. So everybody's been like that, and it's really awesome. And in the community, the tattoo community too, everybody's been, I get messages constantly. How you're feeling? I've been thinking about you. Like, it's so cool to have those friends in tattooing. I don't know. It's just so surreal. Like the whole experience is surreal. You never really understand until you're going through it.
Most certainly, yeah.
It's crazy. Like I still can't believe it.
I think what we're seeing now is like, we're getting older, and more things and we mentioned this before, social media has made everybody, we're all connected.
Yeah.
It's easy. If something happens to you can make that,
Yeah.
whether it be an announcement or just say something online in passing, and everybody's going to see it. So, and I don't think that is a bad thing. I look at it as like, it's just the way it's the world we live in, which is a good and a bad thing.
Yeah,
but I think for the most part, it's good.
Some people really, they decide to keep stuff like this private, and and I thought about it, and I was like, I don't really need to tell anybody. But then when I'm like trying to schedule people, and I'm like, back
they
and
think
forth.
You're being lazy.
Yeah, I'm not answering emails, or just back and forth a couple days ahead of time, being like, oh, I don't know if I can work. I don't, and it was just easier to get it out there and just tell everybody what's going on, just so they know. And I got such great feedback from everybody, like support, number one. Number two, all these people are messaging me saying, thank you so much for putting that out there. They're like, I've been going through this. I didn't want to tell anybody, and it's so hard, and like just seeing your post really made me feel better about stuff. And I was just shocked by all of it. I was like bombarded with
good
messages.
Stuff.
Yeah, and very supportive, very
solid vibes.
It was so cool. And I didn't want to do a GoFundMe, but my best friend decided I needed it, and I would never ask for help, but I do work by myself, and I do have this place to upkeep.
It is funny, like I said, like I was surprised, like you've got a space big enough for a couple of different artists, and you are handling this yourself. You live in the building, which is a big
everything
deal.
myself.
Yeah,
everything.
That's a major.
So
it's a major thing.
The GoFundMe thing has definitely. Thank you for anybody and everybody who's donated to it, because it's a really good cushion to have when you're working by yourself, when you're running a business, when you're doing all of those things. It just gives me peace of mind to know that I have this cushion that everybody's helped me have because I don't know what's going to happen. There might be a whole month where I can't work. So it's that peace of mind from the donations from everybody. I know this sounds really cheesy, and I promise I won't tear up this time, but just getting those messages and how many I got, like it's hard to go through, and in the beginning you're like, what am I trying to live for, kind of thing, like you go through all kinds of crazy things, like thoughts, and at first I don't know, I think at first I was like, well, fuck it, what am I here to live for? Pay bills, be stressed, and I don't have any kids, so it's like, what am I living for? And all the people that did message me and still do, and I'm like, oh, because this,
Yeah.
you know, like
Community in this industry has been a big deal. It's
Right.
the best of the worst.
and people, when people say we need you, I'm like, you do? Like, that's cool. Like, I guess I'll try to live. So it's been really like eye-opening, and like I'm so grateful. Like I know it sounds dumb again, but like I really am. Like I'm
There's nothing
super
dumb
grateful.
about it. I mean, it's a legit
I think
thing.
that word's overused these days. Though,
No,
you
that's
know,
true.
like-
I mean, I give you that. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
it is.
But it is. It's one of those things. It's like that's just the world we live in nowadays.
Right.
All right, so we don't leave on such a downer
But
of a
I'm
subject.
but I'm here, and
Yeah.
I have hair.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
And you've got a great positive attitude, which is great.
You can't not. Like, if you do, you will sink into this, you know, or spiral. And I didn't want to do that. From the get-go, I was like, okay, this is the hand I've been dealt. I have to accept it, and then just kind of like get through it in whatever that looks like. You know, like working does help me, though. I don't think, you know, I know people who have stopped working through treatment, but it honestly helps me so much because I can focus on something that I love to do, keeps my mind off of it, and just my clients being there. And
I think that's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's like it's having that regular interaction with the
Yeah.
individual, so you're not dwelling on something
right.
just up here.
I don't want to sit around and just being like, I have cancer.
Yeah, sometimes
you
to
know,
having
like-
conversations, just talking about the weather,
Yeah.
and then being able to discuss a project and where you're going to go with that. I mean,
Yep.
that's a big deal. I mean, that's one of those situations I think that like growing up, like my mom had it too. Like the moment she stopped working, the moment she just sat at her house and just dwelled on what she was dealing with, that's when you could see her get crushed.
Right.
And if you don't have
Once
that,
those thoughts go,
Yeah.
they just go.
exactly. So
Yeah.
if you have some kind of a blanket of
Yeah.
people around you that you have that can help you through something, even if
Yep.
it's just discussing something during the day, daily events.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
And this place, like I just have to keep going, and like coming down, because I live upstairs, coming downstairs in the morning and just like being here, it like makes me like, I don't know, it's this just like I gotta keep going kind of feeling, and I love this place, so I want to be down
That's
here. I
all that
want to
matters.
be
That's
working,
killer.
you know.
That's killer.
So I just keep going. Like,
Nice.
what choice do I have?
Like the fucking
You know?
Energizer Bunny.
I'm not gonna give up. You know, that's dumb. I'm no quitter.
So do you have any plans? Are there any plans for the future right now? You're just going to wait and see where this goes and then figure it out after that?
Yeah. I mean, I got good news yesterday. Like I told you, I had an ultrasound and they couldn't find anything.
So fingers.
Yeah, I have an MRI to make sure, and I might actually stop chemo 6 weeks early, which is crazy and amazing. So the next step is like surgery, and then, you know, the after stuff, radiation and immunotherapy and stuff. But it's a lot easier to get through than chemo. So once this is over, I'm just gonna go back to normal. But I have this different
Perspective.
yeah, it's just like state of mind where like I want to do shit now. Like I want to all those years that I was like, oh, I can't travel. Like I don't know.
We were just talking about going to
money.
Venice and everything else. Yeah.
And it's like all these things that I've always wanted to do, and I'm like, I almost died. You know, I didn't almost die, but like I could have died if this kept going and I didn't address it. And now I'm like, well, shit, like, you only have one life, and not to be like YOLO, but it's so true. I mean, now I just want to do stuff and like make good art and give people the best I can give them and travel. I do want to travel. I've always wanted to travel. I've always said that I wanted to travel, and things keep coming up. And this is the thing that came up that I'm like, you know what? After this,
Not going to let it beat you.
fuck it. Like, I'm doing what I want. And that's, I think everybody who goes through something like this is going to have that attitude after. And it's probably going to make my life a lot better.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
let's do it, you know?
Nice.
And I can't wait to have some of this after this is all over.
It was a very nice pour of blindness.
I like to look at it and smell it, but
well, on that note, thank you very much for sitting with me.
Thank
This
you
was
for
fantastic. You have a
coming.
wonderful tattoo shop.
I'm so
This
glad
is
you came to the
fantastic.
shop finally.
Oh no, I'm glad I got to.
I mean, not finally you. I mean, finally COVID, cancer,
exactly. It's
like
everything. It's been everything.
So I'm really glad you came, and you have to come back again.
I would definitely will. I definitely will. So on that note, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I will have all of Jess's pertinent information in the description below.
Impermanent.
And permanent, yeah. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Like and subscribe, spread the word, and thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And see you when I see you.
Peace out.